Hey, Invincible Agents. This is Ajay Roy, the host of Invincible Insights. In my podcast first episode, I talk about the online real estate school Invincible Agent. And I just want all of you to know that yes, they are an affiliate sponsor. But before that, I was an actual student of theirs. I took their courses to prepare for my real estate license. And let me tell you, I believe in Invincible Agent. During my continuing education, when you hit that 2-year mark to renew your license, I tried out another school and I realized that it wasn't right for me. So I went back to Invincible Agent because it's so much easier to use. Their user interface is friendly and intuitive. It's simple to understand and pick up right where you left off without having to search after logging out. So when I mention Invincible Agent throughout the episode, please know that it's not just because they're an affiliate sponsor. It's because I genuinely believe in the school based on my personal experience. If it wasn't for choosing Invincible Agent, there's no doubt that I wouldn't be a real estate agent today. Welcome, Invincible Agents, to the first ever episode of Invincible Insights. I'm your host, Ajay Roy. It's great to have you here as I share my journey towards becoming a real estate agent. Let's dive right into it. So this whole adventure started back on March 17th, 2020, right in the middle of a global pandemic. Prior to that, I had been working as a cable satellite technician, and I've been doing it for over 6 years. And let me tell you, I loved the freedom and variety that came with that job. But then everything changed when the world went into lockdown. My supervisor at the cable company offered me remote work, which sounded pretty good at first, armed with just a computer and a headset. My new role involved helping customers troubleshoot TV and internet issues over the phone. I was initially optimistic about this change, thinking that it would be a breeze guiding people through simple fixes. But boy, was I wrong. There was this one incident that stands out in my memory. One mid-afternoon, I received a phone call from a customer whose TV screen had gone blank, which seemed like an easy fix that turned into an hour, 13-minute, and 38-second struggle that exceeded any time limit we had set. Both the customer and I grew increasingly frustrated until finally we gave up and decided to seek help from her son-in-law instead. Now, I didn't know at that time this frustrating phone call would mark the end of my tenure in the cable satellite industry. Right after hanging up with the customer, I went and laid on my couch and just took my headset off. I called my supervisor and said, hey, I'm going to take some time off. And being confined to my apartment during those uncertain times allowed me plenty of time to just slow my life down. And it hit me hard. I needed more than just being on the phone and guiding people through simple tasks that seemed impossible. I started to think about my life. What do I want to do? We didn't know how long we were going to be in a lockdown. We didn't know how long we were going to be doing remote work. And I just started to think about my future. Now, back then I was in my early 40s, and like many people starting a new career, it didn't feel like starting from scratch, even going back to school wasn't something that I wanted to do. And there was no incentive for me to start college and finish what I had started years before. And so what I wanted is to really reflect on what I needed to do and understand what opportunities lay before me. Like, what do I really want to do with my life? Yeah, so I started doing some research, reaching out to people in different industries and exploring my options. And it wasn't easy. I faced doubts. I mean, pressure from friends and family, and I had to overcome limiting beliefs like, what do I do? But through it all, I remained determined to find something not only that offered financial stability, because I was making really good money, but I wanted to be passionate about what I was going to do next. I wanted to remind myself that whatever I decided was going to be it. I was going to do this, and that's all I would do for the rest of my life. So during that time, I would be back and forth text messaging my daughter. She started sharing pictures of my granddaughter, and she said that she's going to have another one. It hit me like a ton of bricks that the importance of finding something that was more rewarding, something that would benefit my children. Now, around that time, I had a lot of opportunity to sit around and do nothing, watch TV, binge watch TV shows, and I started getting into shows that already had been on the air for a while. I started watching shows like Billions with Damian Lewis and Succession. These individuals, they were very business savvy. They were very precise, and they knew what they wanted. Like, they were out there trying to build something and make something that transcended even them. That's what I wanted. I wanted to do something that would give my children a head start, that would give them an opportunity to be further ahead than I ever was at their starting point in life. So as I kept binge watching TV shows, there was another TV show that was about realtors in New York selling billions of dollars worth of real estate. And what truly inspired me was a Texan, a tall, handsome, good-looking Texan, the opposite of what I am, named Ryan, who you could just feel his confidence coming from the TV, right? You could just tell that he was confident in what he was doing and he was good at it and he was going to get better. And I looked at him and thought to myself, well, there was a time when I could do that. There was a time I could do more than the future that had been laid before me. So that's when it hit me, it's like, maybe I want a career in real estate. Maybe that would be my financial future because as we all know, real estate is what you put into it. There's an unlimited potential to earn and to establish yourself and to have this freedom that you could grow as time went on. And also the flexibility, right? I mean, you have flexibility. You could create your own brand. You could be your own persona and you could deal with hundreds, thousands, maybe even millions of dollars worth of financial transactions. And that was very appealing to me. So I thought to myself, how hard could it be to be an agent? And I'm assuming that a lot of us, we have that mindset. How hard can it be? You take the courses, you learn. If you're already a people person, you start to build clientele and you start to establish yourself and you could be very successful. Now, at the time I was living in San Antonio. I wasn't here in Dallas yet. So I thought to myself, San Antonio, we're up and coming. I lived in a part of San Antonio that was constantly growing and I thought I could make a career of it. And that's what I was going to do. But I wanted to be sure, right? Because again, this was going to be the last thing that I did. I wasn't going to have any more careers after that. I wasn't going to try anything new. I was going to do this. So I started research. I started to see what it took, what the classes entailed. Was it something that appealed to me? Was it something that I could do? And after a few days of pondering and looking into other industries, I kept coming back to real estate, thinking to myself, I feel like I have the ability to be great, that I had the potential to do things that could transcend lives, right? Because buying houses, helping people purchase a home, it's a big process. And sometimes you need to navigate them through every step. But for them, it's probably the hardest transaction that they'll ever deal with in their lives. So that to me was very appealing. But again, I wanted to be sure. So I started to think about the time. And at that time, we didn't know how long we were going to be in a shutdown. I had saved a substantial amount of money. And by my calculation back then, I had 2 years of income with my savings and retirement. If I could just live modestly, I could go to school and learn the craft. And as I started to research the classes, a lot of them were remote based, which I had just quit doing. So I just took a break, really doing nothing. I thought maybe if I waited long enough, something else would come along. But then I kept coming back to real estate. It's something that I had thought about years prior, and I had been able to accomplish things in my early life that were similar. You get to talk to people, you get to get people to trust to do these transactions that will change their lives. So I went ahead and decided this is what I'm going to do. And I did more research, like I'm sure many of you do. And I saw how expensive it was. I saw that a lot of agents didn't make it past the 2-year mark. And I didn't know what that meant. But why do they only get to their 2-year mark? But I had committed that I was going to succeed no matter what. No matter how hard it was, no matter how long it took, no matter how much of a personal investment, time, and money that I had to make, I was going to do it. I was going to be successful no matter what. So again, I just went, researched, took time to look around the market. Our house is selling. We're in the middle of a pandemic. And surprisingly, back then, people didn't stop buying homes. They just changed the way they did it. So I kept it to myself. I didn't want to involve family, and I didn't want to tell them what my goals were because it's a lot of pressure. And the last thing I needed was them repeatedly asking me where I was in the process. But as I researched more schools, I'd see expensive ones and I'd see some that were text based only. And I came across Invincible Agents. And I'm sure that a lot of you have tried Aceable Agent. It's computer based. Everything is done on your phone or your laptop or tablet. That was appealing to me because you could be standing in line or waiting at the drive-thru of a restaurant and you could take some courses. At that time, Aceable Agent wasn't unlimited time to finish it. They gave you a year. I had told myself, take me 6 months. I'll be done. Then I'll see what's next. So I registered for the courses. I bought a laptop, a desk, some clothes, an heirloom bag from some London leather shop. It took 3 months for it to arrive, but I wanted it to be special because I wanted it to mark that moment. In my closet, I had 5 suits that I had yet to wear. They didn't even fit. They were there because the prior year before my father passed away, he had given me a monetary gift. The first thing that I did was to buy suits with that money. I was going to be a real estate agent. I hadn't even thought of why I was going to get those suits. All I knew was that I wanted them. And I did all that. I set up my laptop. I opened the course, the courses. I read a little bit and then I left it there. And it took me another 3 months before I opened the laptop and even started because, again, we were in the middle of a pandemic and any opportunity for freedom that we had, I took it. I had a group of friends, a pod, and we met every week. We touched base and we all had our pandemic shutdown stories. We would spend a lot of time together safely. I also did a lot of exploring, walking down the city that I lived in, getting to going about my life. We're all wondering what's next, what's going to happen next. People are getting better, they're going to open up. It was another interaction with one of my oldest daughters where I was reminded again. She's sending me pictures of my granddaughter and she's telling me that she had begun taking classes as a welder, but had been cut short because of the pandemic. And I'm thinking, and she's doing things to improve her life. And here I am kind of just taking it easy. It was September the 10th, 2020, when I was with my friends. It was late at night and we were in the kitchen and living room kind of area. And we were sharing the same stories repeatedly. Right? Talking about the same things that we have been talking about since the shutdown, and nothing much had changed. These were people that had become my family over the years. I spent so much time with them and holidays, and we were always together. I'm looking around thinking I have to break away from this to motivate myself and to just kind of shut myself down and get started with my life. I had a friend who was one of my best friends, like a brother to me. He's always going to be somebody that's has a place in my heart, in my life. We would wake up like everybody else or go throughout our day and we look at our social media. And one day I looked at an Instagram story and one of our friends had posted a breakfast sandwich. And later on that evening, I told him, hey, did you see the breakfast sandwich? Like, I'm going to marry that girl. Look how well she can cook. And he says to me, she's not going to marry you. You don't have anything to offer. You hang out with us. I'm sitting there with our group thinking to myself, remembering that exact conversation, I got to do something. I'm not getting any younger. I was in my early 40s and I didn't know if I was even going to get through the courses. I had no idea what they were about. I go sit in my SUV and they're all inside. I don't even say goodbye to them. I'm just thinking, what do I do now? I'm going to have to live the only life that I've had for the last 2 years and the friends and family that I've known. I'm going to have to hunker down if I really am committed to this. We all know how hard it is to balance life, whether you have kids or careers or other things going on. And then you throw this real estate school on top of that. You have to be. If I didn't, I was going to stay stuck in a perpetual cycle where I never really accomplished anything. And I was in my 40s and I knew that I had time, but I really didn't. I needed to hit the ground running. So that night I went home and sat in front of my laptop. I turned it on, went to the Aceable Agent website, and that's where I met Ace, who would be my friend for the next 7-8 months. And if you're taking courses with Aceable Agent, you know that Ace is the robot. And he's the one to guide you through the first 3 courses, and then you went on your own. And he would read it to you, and you'd sit there and you take quizzes and lessons. You had Matt and the Goldfinger guy come and just kind of give us tips. As I took the first course, a lot of verbiage and vocabulary seemed very familiar to me. I had been in municipal government years prior. I felt confident. And that was how it started out. It gave me a little confidence boost. Getting through the first course, we all take a little test at the end, the assessment. The first thing that I did when I got certificates that I completed my first course was I shared that with everybody. And that was the first time that I let people know that I had begun my journey as a real estate agent. And I'm thinking to myself, I did something. I got one course down, I got 5 to go. And if I just had that mindset where I just tackled one each week, each month, and we all have our own pace, right? Some of it I've seen finished in 3 weeks, 3 months. And I had the mindset that I was not going to go any longer than 6. The isolation was good for me, but also bad because I was a very social person. I was someone who liked to be out. And the fact that I basically just disappeared, getting ready for my new life. I kept the circle small of people who knew, and I would share my success with them. As the courses went on, I would finish one, whether it was Intro to Principles or Laws of Agency. I would go back and see what that meant. What does it mean in the real world? And as I'm getting closer, now we're already in the Christmas time. We get to the holidays, and I kind of put it off a little bit just because the world was opening up slowly. I wanted to see what was out there. I put it back on the back burner. And it stayed there for another month. I kept, just go back and finish, we're done. But we all know that life gets in the way and it's not that easy. And there are things that we have to do. We've all been there. And right after the holidays, I got back into it. And by then, Invincible Agent just takes you halfway through the reading and you have to read yourself, which I was grateful for because in real estate, you do a lot by yourself. And I feel like the last 3 courses prepared me for either you read, you study, and you do what you have to do, or you miss out. And as I did, it was frustrating because I have to read the whole thing. And I was used to Ace reading everything for me. But I was like, man, this is like I'm back in middle school where I got to read the text and then I take the quizzes. But I was close. As a kid, I had this one saying that if you went out every day and you hit a tree with an axe, eventually that tree would fall. And so that's the mindset that I put myself in. I told myself, just keep knocking it out. I mean, Invincible Agent was easy, right? You get on your mobile phone and you can take 1 or 2 of the questions and then you just keep, that was just the mindset that I had to put myself into because it was close. I could feel it. We all know how we get excited when we're done with the 5th course and we're cruise control now because now we've already learned a lot. Now we're excited because we're that close to becoming agents. So that's where, I get to the 6th course and I'm breezing through it. I'm like, this is it. I got a few more lessons, a few more quizzes and then the assessment. And I could get my license. I could do something. And that's exciting, right? I mean, it's one of those things where you feel like it's a big deal because it is. You know how hard you worked. You know what it cost you. You know the sacrifices, whether time and the commitment you put in, and you're close. And I get to the end. And I schedule my assessment. And luckily for me, it was like right down the street from where I lived. I get to the testing site. I check in. I go turn on the computer. And nothing is like I had just learned. They start giving you math formulas that I wasn't prepared for. They start asking you questions in different formats that I wasn't used to. And I'm thinking to myself, oh man, this isn't fair, right? But I did my best. I took my time and I reminded myself that this was going to be life-changing. So I take the assessment. I walk out. The lady grabs my results and says, congratulations, you're a licensed agent, which we weren't yet because we had to pay the fees to Trek and have them send us our license. But she says to me, you don't look excited. And I said, well, I don't know what to do next. And I'm sure that many of us have been at that moment. What do I do now? Because the courses, the classes, they don't teach you what follows. They just teach you not to break the law. They teach you basic language. They teach you how to be a good agent, how to treat everybody with respect, but they don't teach you about finding the right brokerage. They don't teach you what a 70-30 split minus 6% is. They don't teach you about desk fees or brokerage fees or quarterly dues or go and sign up with a MLS or a real estate board. They don't tell you any of that. So I told her, I'm excited, but I don't know what to do next. And she said, well, you don't have a broker set up yet. I was like, no, nobody told me I had to do that. And we all know it's customary or we should, before we even take our exams, to start interviewing. We interview brokerages. So I just pop in on the Google and I Google real estate brokerages, and one of the big cloud-based brokerages pops up, and that's the first one I signed up with. And immediately I had a mentor. He reached out to me and kind of took me under his wing. But he was busy. I mean, he was turning houses. And, at that point, I'm like, I still don't know what to do. And I'd ask him, well, what do I do now? Like, what am I supposed to do? He's like, well, the brokerage has this virtual classes that you can sign up for. And like, it was cloud-based, right? We all became avatars living in the cloud. And I get to it, and I'm like, man, let's navigate here, walk here. What state are you from? And I reach out to him again. I said, well, I don't know what to do. He said, well, start cold calling for sale by owners. Okay. And tell them what? Well, tell them that you're an agent and you want to help them sell their house. Okay. I had driven by one so many times. I went back, got the number of the for sale sign in front of the property, and I called him and I asked him, hey, I tell him first, I introduce myself, tell him I'm a licensed agent with so-and-so. And, I think I could help him sell his house. And the first thing that he says to me is, what do you know about selling my house that I don't? And the truth was, I didn't know anything, right? And I know that a lot of us are in that boat and we get stuck or we don't know what to do next. And that's what I want this show to be. And as I continue to take you through my journey and my trials and errors and my successes and, my transaction mishaps and difficult clients, I want to share that with you and tell you how I handled it. I want to tell you about situations or big things that happened along the way that altered my career or set me back. So those of you that are going through it, know what could come your way. I want to share that with you. And that's what this podcast is about. It's to share my experiences with all of you who are just starting out or who struggled a bit, so you know that you're not alone. I also want to bring in other agents, industry leaders, coaches, and mentors so they can speak to you too and tell you what to prepare for and what to do in certain situations. A guide or a platform that I didn't have. A few lessons or free videos, and then they want to charge you, right? Well, if you want to learn more, sign up for $2,000 a year, teach you how to be successful and make money. And let's be honest, a lot of us that are barely starting out, we don't have money. And so I wanted to share with you what you need to do. And I hope that a lot of you will reach out, whether through email or the phone line. And if you have questions or topics you want me to discuss, feel free to do that. Let's have a dialogue where we can help each other be successful, because you can be. And you'll see as the podcast moves forward throughout the season that there are a lot of things that I wish I had known or that other agents had done to progress, not feel that pressure of I have to succeed right now, or, things are slow, or I'm doing great. What do I do now? I want to cover all of that. And I hope that you join me, and that, if there's one person listening to this podcast, that one person takes value from it. And that one person who struggles to succeed and grow, that you start finding your way, that you start realizing that, there are other avenues, that, we all have different experiences. We are all different people. And, some of us accelerate faster than others. And some of us, it takes time. And I want to speak to all of you. And I want you to be assured that there is ways to succeed. There are things that are going to, kick you in the gut. And there are things that are going to make you fly high. But you can succeed. We all have the ability to be great. We just need somebody to sometimes show us or tell us how to get out of that situation. And that's what Invincible Insights with Ajay Roy is. So I hope that you continue to join me, that you follow my podcast, and that we learn together, and that you take value again from my experiences, and that I help you grow. So again, thank you for joining me on this very short episode of Invincible Insights, my first episode. And I hope that you continue to listen, and that, again, we continue to grow together. Again, my name is Ajay Roy. I'm a real estate agent based in Dallas, Texas. And I look forward to speaking with you again in the next episode. And until next time, stay invincible.
The curtains close on this unforgettable production. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to all those who made Invincible Insights with Ajay Roy a resounding success. We would like to express our deepest appreciation to the talented host, Ajay Roy, whose captivating perspectives have sparked transformative conversations and empowered countless individuals. Special thanks go out to our dedicated team of producers, technicians, and support staff for their tireless efforts in bringing this show to life. Your invaluable expertise and unwavering support behind the scenes have been instrumental in making Invincible Insights a truly remarkable experience for our cherished viewers and listeners. Furthermore, we extend our sincerest gratitude to the vibrant city of Dallas for providing an energizing backdrop that perfectly complements the spirit of Invincible Insights. Invincible Insights with Ajay Roy is written by Sylvia Lawrence and Rachel Woods. This episode was produced by Elijah Raymond and is a production of Roman Roy Digital Media, a subsidiary of Ajay Roy Co. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Ajay Roy Co. or its subsidiary. Any references to specific individuals, organizations, or locations are for informational purposes only and should not be considered endorsements. Thank you all for being part of this extraordinary journey. Stay tuned for more captivating content that will inspire and empower you beyond measure. I am Alex Midas. Until next time, stay invincible.
Are you ready to elevate your business? Would you like to give your business a professional website domain? Then Namecheap is for you, and it's cheap. Very affordable. Don't take my word for it. Try it for only $5.98 per month. That's right, S my cheap.